Good morning again to all the research students, young friends. In the last session, we were talking about the questionnaire, how to prepare it, how to use it, whether the using of questionnaire has a different kind of style, particularly in Indian context. Those things we have been discussing, and some other field techniques and planning, pre-planning, and making a smaller plan for a bigger plan. Such things we are dealing with in the last session. And today we'll be dealing with some other issues that are there in the field work in Indian context. I particularly mentioned that the working in Indian social context is different from the developed countries, working in the developed countries. As I mentioned that the folk artists, folk performers, the traditions of various folk performing arts are closely related to the issue of caste. So in the hierarchy of caste, various levels are there, and the folk performers belong to similarly various levels in the social order. Then working among all these folk artists in field situation has a bearing on the researcher, that he or she who is working in the field, either to document or to interview some persons, may be documented or may not be documented, or even in meeting with the performers or the various informants belonging to various families in an informal way, also have the same kind of issue. That is, the researcher should always remember that he is going to deal with a caste, particular caste. That is very clear. It should be kept very clear that he or she is going to deal with the caste. When we are dealing with the performers, folk performers, that means we are also dealing with a particular caste. It should be always be remembered. That is very important aspect in field research. That is also we had a discussion. And now today we'll deal some of the very important issues that are there in documenting process. Let us say we have thought about how the researchers of the yesteryears were documenting some oral epics, oral narratives. What are the issues that are involved in such kind of documentation? I mentioned one classic documentation issue, that is Elias Lönnrot. He was documenting the national epic of Finnish people, that is Kalevala. When he was documenting such epic, he used to sit with a folk performer, a singer, while he was singing. The Elias Lönnrot used to take notes on paper. So even in India also, before Professor Ramaraju, and in the early 20th century and in the end of the 19th century and in the early 20th centuries, how folk researchers they used to collect the oral material from the field. They didn't have tape recorders, they didn't have cameras, they didn't have video cameras, all this, no apparatus was there. Then how did they collect the oral narratives? That is important. They used to request a singer, and the singer goes on narrating either maybe a long poem, that means a ballad, or a prose narrative, a story, a tale, a folk tale, legend, epic, whatever it may be. The singer or singers, they go on narrating, performing, and the researcher has to take note on papers. This was once upon a time, this was only the technique to collect the epic or long narratives. Then what is the problem in such kind of documentation? The problem is the researcher cannot follow the speed of the performer. That is not possible, because many performers, they are very fast in narrating. Even while singing, it is not slow. They go on narrating. Then if a performer singing or performing or narrating a story, a ballad, in such a speed, how can a researcher can note down the oral narrative on the paper? Is it possible to note every letter, every word that is uttered by the performer on paper? It is not possible. So, how could the researcher note down the oral performance on paper as it is? Is it possible? It is not possible. If it is a folk tale, prose, in case of the performer narrates in a slow pace, then the researcher can write down that kind of slow narration on paper. In that case, as it is, the text produced as could be brought to paper as it is. That is possible. Otherwise, the early documentation of oral narrative were so problematic and incomplete process, that what I could say. How the researcher remembers the oral narration, and some points, some parts of the narration can be brought to paper, and the remaining things will go on, will be missing. So particularly this is very important, to get the text verbatim as it is on paper, if the researcher is working on literature, on oral literature, and stylistics of oral literature, and how a poem is constructed, how a tale is constructed, how a character is depicted. Such, if the researcher wants to gain such kind of details, then this kind of documentation of writing on paper is not at all useful. Even then, with the limitations of the technology, when there were no apparatus of documentation in those days to the researchers, they collected. Particularly the folklorists of South India, in India, who collected the oral narratives in the early 20th century, they followed the same technique. They requested the research performer, the artists, to sing the song in a slow pace, and they go on documenting the same song on paper, word by word, sentence by sentence, in a very slow pace. And so that was the limitation of documentation in the early days. But today it is easy. When the tape recorder was invented, when the tape recorder was in the hand of a researcher, he can request the performer or the narrator or the informant to go on singing the song, narrating a tale, all that. Then the tape recorder will take care. The tape recorder takes care to record it verbatim as it is, no problem. After going back to the room or his residence, then researchers can transcribe the recorded text as it is on paper, and he can use it. And it was not at all possible for visual documentation when camera was not there, when video camera was not there. And those are the limitations of early field work. Then once the tape recorder was invented, the early researchers of 1950s, 1940s, 1950s, some researchers in India, they got a small tape recorder. Means in those days tape recorder is a bigger one, 2 feet length and one 10-inch width. Such recorders were there, very old spool tapes and cassette tapes, such kind of recorders were there, and those recorders were helpful in documenting only the oral performances. Not at all recording for video recording was not at all available. It was not at all imaginative, etc. Even then, in Indian fieldwork context, there were some problems. In some problems that in India, people have a lot of unscientific sentiments. Unscientific sentiments that Professor Ramaraju and the senior researchers of those days in 1950s, they come across a different kind of a peculiar, a funny kind of situation in India while they were working for recording some narratives from the performers. When Professor Ramaraju opened his tape recorder in the field situation, the performers were afraid of that. The tape recorder, the recording of his voice into the tape recorder, that may cause us harm, that will cause harm to his voice. They felt that an artist objected to record his voice, that if the researcher records the voice of the performer may lose his voice, or the recording may harm his voice, because it's a kind of life. The life is going into the recorder. When the life has gone into the recorder, such life is gone from his voice. He felt that. The performers felt that. And those researchers of those days, they come across it. They clearly mentioned in their books that the field situation in those days, it was like that the performers, the narrators, they never allowed the researcher to record their voice. That was the problem. And even the Professor Ramaraju and some other researchers in those days, they narrated that even the performers, they did not allow the researchers to take a photograph of the performance of individual, whatever it may be. They did not allow the researcher to take a photograph. They felt that a photograph is a kind of life, is a kind of object which has some life. It has some life. That is why the photograph is truly representing the image of the person. They thought that. The performers, very unscientifically, it is unscientific for us, not for them. What they thought is, taking a photograph takes away some life from the performer. They thought that. That's why they did not allow the performers, the traditional artists in those days, in 50s, they did not allow the researcher to take photograph. That was a big issue in field workers, field researchers in those days. Very troublesome. They did not allow to record the voice. They did not allow to take a photograph. Even the video camera, it was not at all imagined in those days. That was the situation. In such kind of situations, what they did is, they went to the police station. The researchers, the Professor Ramaraju, he himself went to the nearest police station, and they took the help of a policeman. This policeman went to the folk performers. They made the artist to convince. They told the folk artist that no harm will happen either to your voice or to your appearance, nothing will happen. The tape recorder and camera will no way cause you some harm, either to voice or to your image. In such a way, the policeman explained the artists, explained the performers in those villages, and helped the researchers to get the performances recorded on recorder and get photographed. That was the situation that was there in the field work of Indian context. Very interesting. But I felt that in the early days of this mechanical approaches, the researchers in the developed countries might also come across this kind of situation. And what about the present situation? After that, when the video camera was available to researchers, then they could record, they could document a complete event of folk performance as it is, verbatim, as it is from the beginning to the end, without any hindrance, without any kind of break in the text, break in the performance. They could record it because of the help of this technology, and they could analyze even after many days. That was possible because of this mechanical advantage, technical advantage. That is possible. Then these are the technical issues. These are technical issues that are involved, and how a voice recorder is helpful in getting information in a proper way, how a video recorder helps the researcher to get the performance, the narration, the text of the entire epic, the text of the long epic, the text of a folk song. Some traditional folk songs are very fast. If the researcher is a non-native, that will be very difficult to understand, even for a person who belongs to the same language. Let us take one example from Telugu or Tamil. So, the land of Tamil or the land of Telugu are very vast. There are 5 to 6 kind of dialects are there within Telugu and Tamil. And then the researcher who belongs to one dialect in a corner of the state could not understand the other dialect of the other corner of the state. That is another problem. That dialect goes on very fast. Even the native speaker of that particular language could not properly understand that text because of that speed. That is the problem. But when the narration is recorded, that gives some strength to the researcher to properly understand the text by listening to it many times. And once the text is recorded, they can show it to some other speaker, to some other person, and get the answer, get the explanation of the text from other persons also. But when the text is not recorded at all, when the text is not at all recorded, it is gone. It's gone. We cannot get it back. But nowadays, the technology, the advanced machines that are available, that take out this problem, and nowadays it is easy to document things in fieldwork. Then we discuss some more issues which are related to cameras and voice recorders, etc. But the academic issue which is related to the documentation is a little different. Then when an interview is there and you are interviewing a researcher is interviewing a person in the field. The person may be a folk performer, a a general person in the sense that a household who narrates a folk tale, sing a song to his children, or a grandmother who narrates a tale to her grandchildren. Talking to such persons should be very informal. Don't call it an interview. Don't formalize that talking to the persons as formalizing it as interview and following interview rules and making them stiff, making the narrator into a stiff way. That will not help you anyway. That will not help the researcher. They should feel very informal way while talking to the persons who are narrators of folk tales, folk songs, etc. Do not call it an interview. Oh, I am going to interview you and please help me to interview you. These kind of interactions will no way help in the field. Particularly in Indian context, that is there. When you go to an academician, when you go to an educated person in an urban setting, you can call it an interview and you can take his or her permission to interview him or her and make it formalized, and the questions should maybe in the formal way. Similarly, the answers will also maybe a very formal way. When the things are formalized, the hidden secrets of the text will not come out. They will not come out. Such things are happen. Such things are possible only an informal way of dealing with things. The interviewee, the persons, the performer should feel an informal kind of situation, informal kind of things. Then he or she will freely open up their mind and freely open up their mind and they can tell something about inner secrets of a structure of a song or structure of a tale or structure of an epic, long epics and so on. That's why when you are dealing with folk performers and individuals in the field, every researcher should come across that kind of knowledge by himself or herself, by experience itself. Once you go on doing such kind of work, you will feel what happened in my earlier experience and what things should I avoid and what new things should I adapt. Such experience you yourself gain in the field. So this kind of experience that cannot be there in books or that cannot be there in teachings in the classroom situation. That is important. So when we are looking at to talk to some persons, let us remember that let us make the event, let us make the context in an informal way. Then when can we open our voice recorder or when can we open our camera? So directly, can I go to directly a person or can I, even before talking to him, even before motivating him or her, can I open my voice recorder or tape recorder, whatever it may be? No, that's not there. First we have to talk to the person, talk to the performers. We have to take their permission, whether they permit us to record it or not. Recording either on video or on voice without the permission of the performer or the interviewee or the informant, that is against the ethics. We can't do that. You cannot do a clandestine kind of documentation. That is not there. You cannot do that. We can't do that. We should not do that. But without informing the performer or the persons, sometimes we have to record it. There are such kind of context. What are they? Let us say that one big ritual, one folk ritual is going on in the street. It's a calendrical event, live event. It will not happen again in the same year. even if it happens in the next year, it will not be same as it was performed in this year. Then how can you take permission of the hundreds of persons in the street? Can you go to everybody and can I ask them to record it? Ask them to give their permission to record the event? That's not possible. Then what to do? In such a case, the researcher should be in the field much in advance that the ritual officiators who are there in the field, who are there in the event, you need to talk to them. You need to talk to the ritual officiators who are going to officiate the ritual tomorrow or day after tomorrow or 2-3 days after 2-3 days, and you have to inform them in an informal way that we are the researchers, we are coming from so and so university or so and so institution, and we would like to record or document the 2-day ritual, folk ritual of the goddess or god. We are going to record that, and can you give us permission to record the forthcoming ritual? We can ask them. We can ask the village head person or some other important villagers or responsible persons for that ritual, and we can ask them to give us permission to record it. That we can do that, but it should happen much in advance. But all of a sudden you are in the field that you come across the information that tomorrow or day after tomorrow there will be a mother goddess worship in so and so village. There will be a very big ritual is there, and some sacrifices will happen. Very interesting material will be there, and you can record it. And all of a sudden you start here and you got reached there on the right time of the ritual event. Then it is not possible to take their permission, and then you can start. You can open your camera and you can open your separate voice recorder. And nowadays, when you are recording the event on video, the text is also recorded. But sometimes you need to record the voice separately. Then one person is going on in the street and your video camera is in a distant place. Your video camera might not be able to record the voice in a distant place. Then you need to take another voice recorder's help to record the voice in a very lucid way, and you have to use the separate machine for that purpose. Then the ritual officiators or the villagers who are there, who are the responsible person in that particular ritual, they may object to you. Hey man, don't record this event. Don't record this particular kind of animal sacrifice. Don't record it. We don't give you any permission. Then you cannot record it. You have to stop it. You cannot record the same event in a clandestine way and hiding the camera in somewhere else. That's not at all a good practice. We cannot do that. We should not do that. Because it is against ethics. Without their permission, we cannot record it. And recording clandestine way and using it is against the ethics of research. It is against the ethics of field work. Don't do that. I too never did that without any permission of the performer or researcher. Performer or that particular informant. I never did it. That is one way. And then in interviews, when we are in the interview situation, particularly in the villages, when can we open our voice record? When can we show the apparatus to the informant? They know that you came to nowadays any village, any person knows what are the tape recorders. In the early days, in the towns, in cities, people might know what is a tape recorder, what is a camera, what is a video camera. Those things, they are very familiar to the city people. But in those days, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, most of the villages, they never seen. People in villages, they never seen a camera. Such villages were there. They never seen a camera, they never seen a voice recorder. That's a very funny thing, very interesting, cute. Very, they are totally negligent. They never seen that. That's why they were very interesting to see that. That's why they scared to allow the researcher either to record the voice or to take a photograph of themselves. That was the situation. But nowadays, you go to any village, you can find a microwave tower in that particular village. You can find a mobile phone, smart mobile phone in everybody's hand. Today's situation is different. But 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, villages were not there in such a way. They were not helpful. They were not helpful in the field. Then, when you met a artist, when you met a researcher, so you want to document some songs, some of his or her experiences, or his long career, then you talk to him in an informal way and motivate him to tell you what actually you are in need. Then ask him that, sir, can I record your narration, or can I record your experience either on my voice recorder or my camera? Then generally the person will be very happy to permit you to record that one. They will be very happy. Then you can open your voice recorder and go on recording that one and go on asking them questions and come to know something about what is that particular song, what is that particular text. That is there. That's possible. That it should be in a very informal way. Sometimes what happens, a folk performer or a folk ritual officiator, they may be scared and they don't want to tell something which is going into the voice recorder. You have to, the researcher has to observe such particular context. You need to understand that the artist, the performer, feeling inconvenience to tell something which is going to be recorded. If the person feel that what he is going to narrate is not going to record, he will he will reveal such things which are not possible to be recorded. Then the researcher has to ensure the performer, ensure the artist that, sir, I am not going to record this part. Just you can feel free and you can narrate whatever you want to narrate. Then you stop your voice recorder or the camera. Then the performer comes out that, sir, actually this kind of sacrifice is banned in our village. Officially, the government of this state banned the animal sacrifice, and police people are there nearby. And if I tell something about the narration, something about animal sacrifice, how to be sacrificed, who has to sacrifice, which person is going to sacrifice tomorrow, if I reveal everything, you may give it to the police well, or of course may not be you, and some other people will tell the police wala, and they may create some problem to us. In such situation, the narrator will not reveal all these things when you are recording. Then ensure the performer, you have to make him to feel that his voice, his revelations are not going to be recorded. Then he will come out with the various other inner things that are generally not at all expected to be recorded or to reveal some other persons which are out of their society, out of their community. That is also there. Then the researcher in the field has to understand properly whether the performer or whether the narrator feels any inconvenience to reveal certain things. Then the researcher has to ensure him to not to record. It is not going to be recorded. Then the narrator comes out. Then the researcher should carefully listen to them, and they have to remember all those things. And once they got back to their residence in the evening or in the morning after the performance, then they have to write down a journal. They have to write down everything which happened onto the papers. And such kind of notes will be very helpful when they are writing, when they are giving all the things, when they are doing the actual research work, when they are documenting the whole research. This is one issue, and this is one thing. Then when should we open our machinery? That means our voice recorders and our cameras in performances. Let us say, as I mentioned, documenting of folk rituals in the streets in daytime, in night time, that's a little difficult. And how to document such things, we come across that issue. But in village goddesses, rituals of village goddesses, gods, and many other such kind of rituals, sometimes what happens, let us say Mallana Jatara is there, let us say Yellamma Jatara is there, and multiple persons involved in such kind of rituals, and multiple events happen in many places at a time. Then how can you document it? If researcher is a single person or one or two persons, they can document at one place. But the same ritual pattern happens in the various other places on the same year. If you could not record the whole events on the same year, the researchers should wait for the next year to record some other events. But they are not the identical one that happened in the same year. They will be different. Then what to do? If the researcher is so serious to document the entire ritual process, then what to do? Then 3-4 persons or 5-6 persons should be there to document the whole ritual process at a time in the same year. Let us say the Mallana Jatara happens in 4 places, say at the same time, and 4 individual ritual officiates officiate the ritual. Then we don't have any other way, and all 4 persons should be there, and we have all 4 or 5 research scholars should attend to the rituals in various places at the same time and document things. Then only you can properly understand the whole structure of the ritual process. That should be there. Otherwise, if only one person is there, then it will be very difficult to document such kind of big rituals, very wide rituals. Then the researchers have to plan it much earlier. Then what is the volume of the entire ritual process? In which kind of widespread area it happens, and how many ritual officiators will be there, and how to document it properly, the whole ritual process at a time in the same year. Then we have to have very accurate and exact plan to document the whole event, the complete event. Then the researcher has to take help of 3-4 other researchers to help him to document the whole ritual process. That is important. Then performances are little different from this kind of rituals. These rituals may happen in an entire village geography. Let us say one Mallana ritual is there. Then the Mallanna ritual in the daytime, it happens in many places and you have recorded. But the performance of Mallanna, epic of Mallanna, it happens at one place in maybe in front of the temple or in the midst of the village. It may happen in such a way depending upon the interest of that particular village. Then that is little easier to document things. Even then, what are your interests? Whether the researcher is concentrating on the text and textual issues, story, narration, styles of the narration. In such occasions, in such needs, the researcher should take care of the texts that are coming out from the performances. Then he or she has to record the text without going a single sentence from the recording. Then where to keep the mics and where to keep the machine, how to capture the voice of each performer in the performance without losing their voice, without losing their narration. That is important. Then you have to plan it in such a way, then whether you use it to external mics or only your camera is enough. Nowadays some very powerful cameras are there. You need not go for text, you need not go for external mics. External mic to keep somewhere 3-4 mics in the stage area and record it. That's not at all needed. Some very powerful video cameras are there. They can catch hold the voice even for 20 feet distance. That's also there. Then the researcher has to understand that whether his apparatus, his machines, his recorders, his cameras are able to capture the voice even from some distance. That the technical clarity must be there in the researcher's mind. Then you can start the two things are involved. Then something happened behind the curtain. Something happens behind the curtain. Let us say that one leather puppet show is going on. So documenting leather puppet show has a different kind of dimension. That means you have to document from front side and from back side also. If you capture the whole performance from the curtain, that's not enough. That's not at all enough. When you are documenting a leather puppet show, your one camera, one of your cameras, it should record from the front side the whole event from the beginning to the end, how story is narrated by the puppets with different kind of gestures and action and voice that is needed. In the same way, the voice is produced by the artists, by human beings, and from the back side of the curtain, and they narrate, they act, they have to act, and they have to use the musical instruments also from the background, from the backside of the curtain. Then you have to record, which is the very important process that was going on behind the curtain. That is also there. Then 2-3% should involve there, and 1% should record from the front side, and 1 or 2% from record it from the back side. This is one method. Otherwise, your documentation is incomplete. You cannot analyze that. You cannot analyze it. That's not possible. Then similarly, various other kinds of performances will be there. Let us say one Burukatha is there. Let us say one Yakshaganam is there. Then some rituals happen even before the performance. The performance may commence at 9 p.m. But before coming to the audience, the artists perform some rituals on backside the curtain. They officiate a ritual. Then they start making themselves up. To give makeup to an artist, the artist should perform. There is a ritual. They offer a puja to their god, to their goddess. Maybe it Ganesha, maybe it Saraswati, maybe it Lord Shiva. who is the lord of all artists, all 64 kind of arts. He is the lord of all arts. Then they may offer a puja. Only after puja is over, then they start applying color to their faces and getting costume. All these things may possible. Then we have to record that also. The researcher has to record the process that was there behind the curtain. Then this kind of situations will be there in the field. Then the researcher should have initial kind of understanding what is the volume of entire process. Then which things are involved in the even in the performance event. Then in some performances, not only some, in many folk performances, there will be a continuous interaction between performer and the audience. In many performances, there is no difference between audience and performers. In many events, in many folk performances, the audience play a role of performer themselves. One goddess comes onto the stage and she goes on narrating something, and some audience come to the stage, and they feel the character on the stage, that the character itself or herself or himself is god or goddess. And the audience may bring one coconut and they break the coconut on the stage in front of that goddess image, character. Then what happens? The audience itself, the audience themselves, part of the performance, part of the performers. And such kind of continuous interaction between the performer audience will be there in many performances. Then you need to have two cameras. Then you need to concentrate on one camera on the stage, on the performance, on one camera on audience. How do they react? What are they commenting? How the comments affect the performer's text. Then how the audience themselves should call as performers. In such events, you need to have two cameras. One should concentrate on the audience and one is on this thing. That's also important. Even then, when you are going to document the entire night's performance, then we need to take permission from the performers. Before documenting the entire performance, we have to take oral permission and record it. After recording that, the researchers invariably, particularly when you are doing research from a government institution, maybe a university, maybe a research institution, what you have to do is you need to take permission orally, that is over, but you need to take their permission on paper. The research, the performers, the narrators should give you their permission in written by their signature to the researcher. Then only the researcher can use that material for his research or to publish it. That is very much needed. Otherwise, there will be some legal problems after your research is over. Then you have to ask their permission with their kind gesture that, sir, I am going to use this material for my PhD or for my research project, and then after using this material, using this epic in my research project or my PhD work, I will publish this material in the form of a book. I would certainly acknowledge the names of all the performers in the book. Who has performed, from which village, all these particulars will be there in the book. And also I need your permission to make some documentary films, maybe a 10 minutes documentary. I have recorded some 10 nights of performance, or 1 night of performance, or 3 nights of performance, whatever it may be there. I recorded it. Then after some time I want to make a 10 minutes video film, or a 10 minutes or 20 minutes documentary film out of this footage of this performance. Then we need the permission of the artists even for that one also. Then in the fieldwork situation itself, the researcher has to take written permission from the performers, from the community. Sometimes it is needed. In written permission to not only to document, to use it in the research work, to publish the research work, and to make documentary films out of the footage of this particular performance. That permission also will be needed. Then we have to properly acknowledge who are the artists. Such kind of things are there. And researchers should remember that. If you miss this kind of permission, in written permission, of course you traveled 200 kilometers away from your university, you recorded there that event, you documented it, you got back 200 kilometers back to your university, and after months to after 1 year or 2 years of your research work, you realized that you did not take written permission from the artists. Then after 2 years or 3 years you got back to the village to get their permission. By that time the old artist may not be there. What happens? How can you publish that? How can you make documentaries with that artists without their permission? That is a serious problem. Then the researcher should remember, always should remember that they need to take permission orally before documenting the events, and they need to take permission on paper, in written, after that documentation. That is important. That's very important. Every researcher should remember this particular point in any of their field documentation. That's very important. After that, there is another kind of angle, another kind of dimension in field documentation. Even within the field, there is one aspect, that is post-documentation research, post-documentation process. What is this post-documentation process? That is very important. If you miss this post-documentation process, if you miss this post-documentation ideas from the performer, that will be very difficult to further analysis of your material in your research work. That is also important. What is the post-documentation process and how it is important? That is also we must take care. We must remember that. What is it? How it is very important. We have to remember that. I'll say that. Let us say I have documented one Yakshagana. Wonderful event. The Yakshagana performance went on for 4 hours, 5 hours. I documented it successfully, documented by a video camera. The entire process is recorded. Then the researcher want to do some research on the music of that particular event. You got it documented, you thought that you satisfied that everything is recorded, nothing is left. Then you went into your university at 500 kilometers away or whatever it may be. Then you opened the recorded material, you heard it, you watched the video. Then you want to analyze this particular video. Then you come across a problem. Then what is the music of that particular performance? What is the meaning of that? What ragas are performed in that particular event? What is the tala? What is the raga? Why these particular songs are there, in what kind of events, what kind of context the songs are used, where the prose is used, where the songs are used, where the long singing is used. which is heightened prose, which is not prose, which is not. There are some narrations. There are some narrations. You cannot call it a prose. You cannot call it a poetry. It is in between the prose and poetry. When such kind of things are used, you come across that problem, and it's very difficult to understand that one. Then what to do? Then tonight, this night, I documented the entire Yakshagana, or entire whatever the performance may be there. Maybe there it is a puppet show, or it is one kind of theatre, folk theatre, whatever it may be there. This may be a different one. Then the researcher should remember that. Okay, tonight you recorded that entire event. Then you have to wait another day. All of a sudden you cannot pack up everything and you cannot go back to your university after documentation is over. No, don't do. Let us not do that. Then what to do is, that is called post-documentation is process. Then you have to wait for one more day, and you have to sit with the performers, and you have to make them to listen their own performance. Then stop at every event. Then ask the performer that, sir, what is this ragam? What is this melody? Why did you use this melody in this particular event? You have to ask them. They will reveal you that. Then there is when pathetic situation is there. When such pathetic situation, this raga is used, this tala is used. When some Velar kind of situation is there, some war situation is there, what raga is used there, and what kind of music is used there, usually in that particular context. And when some romance kind of things are going on in the performance, what kind of song used in that particular romantic kind of things. In some places there is lot of humor. Humorous songs are there. What ragas are used in the humorous songs? Then the researchers must be totally aware that this kind of music is produced in this particular kind of event, particular kind of context. That is very important. So in field situation, these things are very important. That means the post-documentation process, post-documentation interviews are also very important. Otherwise, your documented material will become meaningless to you, will become useless to you when you are using them in your research documentation and making documentary films. That's one important aspect. So today in this session, we have dealt with various issues that are involved in interviewing with the performers, and documentation process, in using the material, using the machines, and when to record, how to document. These things we discussed here. Tomorrow in the next session, we'll deal with some other issues of using the apparatus, using the machines in the field work. What kind of machines were used in the early days? What kind of machines we should use in present day fieldwork situation? How do they help you? How do they support your research? Or whether they can make they can create some problems also in the field situation. These things we will discuss in the next session. Till then, take care. Bye bye.